Well, he's in his 70s, and he's walking 6 miles a day. And one morning he wakes up and he's just in tremendous pain. He could not put his feet on the floor. And so he was transferred to his local hospital. And after having some imaging and finding out he had severe spinal stenosis and he had an impingement on a nerve, there was not a neurosurgeon in the hospital, and the hospitalist wanted to discharge my patient to a nursing home when my patient could not walk and he was in severe pain, and I thought it was totally inappropriate. It's a time like that where you need a physician advocate. So I was on the phone with the hospitalist immediately, on the phone with my colleagues in a nearby town, and I made sure that my patient was transferred to the best surgeon in the state right away. And being there to be able to advocate for your patient in a time of need is just so valuable. And you need to have the time to do that, and you also need to have the resources to do that. Having a network of doctors to work with, I think, is very important. One thing that I do here in Park City, I take care of all the visiting guests that come in as well, is my membership practice. And I'm talking all the time with membership doctors around the country, concierge doctors. And every time I call one up, it's the same story. They're excited to talk to me, and they say, hey, I do the same thing. I always call the doctor directly and update them with what's going on. And it's a culture in medicine that we're now reinvigorating, and it's great that there's a medical community that is working collaboratively together and in the best interest of our patients.
We need to have time with people to really unpack it. And these longer conversations, fewer and farther between, ultimately are the better vehicle by which we can have behavior change conversations. There's no way that, if I've only ever had 10 minutes at a time with you and I never had a longer intake or a longer conversation about how your brain works and that kind of thing, that I could be that quarterback, that I could be effective. And what I want for physicians is to feel effective, to feel like they are a good partner in this process.
You can imagine that if you're a patient and you come in thinking you're healthy and you were told you're healthy by the current healthcare system because you went and saw, or maybe you participated in the executive health physical, or you were told by your internist that you were doing great with all the typical testing, and then they come and undergo this assessment and they're being told, oh wow, I have this clinically significant finding. And it's sort of bad news, good news, right? Bad news, we made this finding, but good news, it's usually early enough that we can do something about it. I think of many of the clients who have come through very, as you can imagine, personal, life-changing stories. I think about a woman in her 50s who came through who had no risk factors for cancer, no smoking history, and we found a 2-centimeter lung tumor that was stage 1. She had it resected a week later. No doubt we've added significant years of life to her, and she had no symptoms and was told she was healthy through her conventional medical practice. And I think what these overall findings highlight is when you extrapolate our findings, our baseline findings, to epidemiologic or population level data, we're adding anywhere between 1 and 9 years of life to our clients who come through.
All right, I'm with Jim Eischen at the Concierge Medicine 2016. He's terming it Brand X. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, I want to apologize for the terms Brand X. I made it up, and it's frankly because I don't know what else to call it. So I think of this category as sort of an unknown. It hasn't coalesced into a particular brand name yet. But what I'm calling Brand X is referring to software, tech, app solutions that are more of a software or technology solution for which patients pay an additional amount of money for. But I'm also putting into Brand X health coaching because there are also health coach solutions that are out there, again, triggering additional patient money. I think of this as private medicine. It's certainly private health care. Is it the practice of medicine, I'm doing air quotes, to be determined?
And so her husband is a veterinarian, and he called me up at 1:30 and said, I just want you to know that, my wife just passed. And I said, thank you for letting me know that. And then I kind of sat there for a second, and I texted him. I said, "Is the coffee on?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "I'll be right over."
If that true story from a doctor about the importance of a relational physician in our lives doesn't hit you straight through the heart, I really don't know what will. I love that story because not only is it true, but it reflects the very heart of so many of the physicians that we talk to every single day. It can be said that a doctor saves the day, and we've all had voices in our lives that have influenced us. How many of us can say it was our doctor?
Hey everyone, I want to welcome you to the Concierge Medicine Forum. My name is Michael and I'll be your host. This is a place where you can really feel like you're at home, at least for a few hours. You can drop the weight from your shoulders, the worries at the door, just for a little while, and hopefully pick up some new strategies that you feel are actionable and going to work for you on Monday morning. I've instructed every single one of the companies that you see in here, as well as those who are going to be speaking on stage, to give you actionable insights that you can go back home and apply first thing on Monday morning. The go-getters, the people getting it done, and the people you feel like, man, I could never connect with them. They're here in this room. And you're not only going to get to hear from these leaders, these physicians, and these organizations who all play off the same models in concierge medicine, but they're going to show you some specific examples of them in action. And it's not just theoretical for just one practice. It actually works. We want you to lean in and learn from those around you, your peers, the physicians on the stage, the companies around you in this room, and those innovators we've handpicked and selected to be here, who've literally sat for many of them in the same chairs and places that you are right now, and they continue to innovate back at home. From the moment that you walk in here into this conference center, you're meeting and greeting people just like you, who are all approaching really the same problem in a unique way. And that is, how do we show, share, and tell our patients that we care and that we are for patients, that we are for them. You're about to learn in our short time together, the next 2 days, why this polarizing idea called concierge medicine has really come around and been now so unique and so real and so life-changing to both patients and physicians that you'll realize why for some it's not a possibility anymore. It's a reality. And they're doing this thing called concierge medicine, and it's changing the lives of their patients, their communities, their careers, and sometimes even their families and their marriages. You have an impossible job as a doctor. We live and we work in a world that puts an incredible pressure on doctors, and patients feel it too. I had one doctor say the other day that finding the concept and the model of concierge medicine was like a little boy in the woods finding a flashlight. It saved his life. It saved his marriage. And what I love about concierge medicine, what makes you different and you unique from other doctors, other groups of doctors that we talk to, is that you keep looking forward, you keep innovating, and you keep finding new ways to be unique. You're showing your colleagues, the specialists that you interact with on a daily basis, how healthcare could be and should be. You're opening up new doors for patients and doing new things because you're curious. And you're opening up new doors for patients, and they love it. Your commitment to do what is required inside of your own calling to surprise us continues to surprise us and continues to surprise your patients, that they keep coming back. And I don't know about you, but there's not a lot of doctors' offices that I want to keep coming back to anymore. So this thing that's so unique, this culture that we live in, doesn't see doctors the same way that you do. You know, you have to do whatever it takes for your patients. And coming here and putting on this event and speaking with many of you year after year, I've realized that the physician and innovators in this room Some of you were practicing concierge medicine before this event, and others were even in existence. And it's different also when you hear from somebody who sat in the audience, who sat exactly at the same table where you were years ago. You learn something new when you sit shoulder to shoulder with someone that has been on the other side of you. They've been where you have been, and they've answered the question of how do I be unique? It's great that we have these events and that we come together and we exchange notes and we smile and we hug and we take photos and we do the signatures on the bucket. These are fun. They keep us incentivized to go and to give us a reason for all of the dark nights when you were alone trying to make a decision as to whether or not you can keep the doors open and keep going. For some of you, you've gone through some very difficult times in this room when the computer and the systems and the platforms they were all down. And some of you, the bank account was empty and you wondered how you were going to make payroll or even pay the mortgage. But you kept moving forward because you had an idea about how patients should be and could be served. You continue to evolve. You continue to innovate at the same speed your patients wanted to move. That is unique about concierge medicine too. So year after year, we come back, and year after year, we lean in, and for most, this is the only stage they speak on. So as we begin our time together, you each received a program guide when you checked in at registration, and you should see a green piece of cardstock paper with some questions on it. I want you to use this standout page to jot things down, to jot quotables down, to jot things that you feel you can do first thing on Monday morning. Something that you can write down and look at a moment's notice and say, I got to remember that. And I also have 2 questions for you as we conclude and we start our sessions together. And that is question number 1, day number 1. What do you want to be known for? Day number 2, question number 2. What are you known for? This is the question for your patients. And when you marry these 2 questions, you create positive word-of-mouth advertising and tell your patients and those who you live and work around who you are really for. Finally, let's be a group of people and physicians who are known for what we are for, and that is for patients. And our promise is that this new step in our journey together is that we are here for you. We are for doctors, and you are for patients. And we come here because for some, this is where it all started.